All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a fundamental truth that literally has the power to completely rewrite your life's trajectory. We are talking about the idea that shifting your mindset is the ultimate key to changing your circumstances. You see, it's really not about what happens to you, it's entirely about how you perceive it. Our blueprint for this journey is an incredible guide by Jeff Keller. What we're going to do today is distill his core framework. Whether you're gunning for a major promotion, looking for better relationships, or honestly, if you're just feeling kind of stuck in a rut, this explainer is designed to help you maximize your potential simply by changing the lens through which you view the world. So let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this for a second. Have you ever had a job where you absolutely dreaded going in? Like where you felt the literal weight of the world on your shoulders the second you woke up? Take a moment to audit your own life in your current mindset. Because hey, if you answered yes to that, you are definitely not alone. That miserable, gut-wrenching feeling, that's exactly what our author Jeff Keller experienced. He was a practicing attorney, which, by the way, was a career he had dreamed of since he was a teenager. But a few years in, he was just completely miserable. Spiritually, he felt dead inside, he was constantly hunched over, his stomach was always churning, and he suffered from these endless pounding headaches. The doctors? They couldn't find a single thing physically wrong with him. They literally just told them to take some Maalox. He was in his late 20s, but the misery made him look like he was 40. This is the painful, very real physical toll of living with a deeply negative attitude. Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. We're going to start with the night everything changed. Move into washing your mental window, explore the human magnet principle, look at the domino effect of words, and wrap up with committing to overcome adversity. Starting right off with Section 1, the night everything changed. This anchors our whole framework. Picture this. It's 1985. Keller is just completely burned out. He's sitting in his den at 1 a.m., wide awake, and he impulse buys a homesteady course off a late-night TV infomercial. That program introduced him to a radical new concept, that our subconscious beliefs actually dictate the quality of our lives. That one impulse purchase sparked a realization that eventually gave him the courage to completely walk away from his highly lucrative law career to become a motivational speaker. Now, it wasn't an overnight fix, but it was absolutely the turning point. Which brings us nicely to Section 2, wash your mental window. Imagine two people, let's call them Sarah and Sam, and they walk into the exact same coffee shop. Sarah walks in with a smile, positive posture, total optimism. She has a pleasant little chat with the barista and leaves feeling completely recharged. Then there's Sam. He walks in with a scowl, totally tense and annoyed. He hates the wait, hates the food, and leaves furious. They received the exact same service, but experienced entirely different realities. Why? Simply because they viewed the event through different mental windows. You know, we all start out as kids with this squeaky clean mental window. We fall down, we get right back up, we try again. But as we age, life just starts throwing dirt at that window. We get criticism from our parents, ridicule from peers, rejection, disappointment, and doubt. The grime just builds up. And instead of cleaning it, most people just accept looking at their entire life through a filthy, negative lens. So I've got to ask you, how clean is your window right now? This whole concept is summed up perfectly by the great Earl Nightingale. He said, "We become what we think about." Let that sink in for a second. Those 6 words are the absolute secret to success, and paradoxically, they're the secret to failure too. Your dominant thoughts rule your day. And that tees us up perfectly for Section 3, the human magnet principle. The human magnet principle basically states that you attract what you constantly focus on. But you really need to note the word dominant here. A little bit of positive thinking every now and then doesn't work, right? Just like doing 3 jumping jacks on a Sunday won't make you instantly fit. You have to make your goal a continuous, dominant habit. For years, Keller wanted to buy investment real estate, but he was completely paralyzed by negative what-if thinking. Once he changed his dominant thoughts to absolute belief, guess what? He bought 2 investment homes in a single year, in 1986. The thought always precedes the action. Let's transition over to Section 4, the domino effect of words. This is where we see how our daily language solidifies our thoughts into reality. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact chain reaction that happens in our minds. It goes thoughts, words, beliefs, actions, and finally results. If you repeatedly tell yourself, I'm terrible at sales, or like Keller used to say, I can't fix anything around the house, your brain hears that. It accepts it. It becomes a concrete belief, so you avoid taking productive action, and predictably, you get a terrible result. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy practically guaranteed by the words you choose to use. Contrast that negative loop with a guy named Kent Cullers. He was a brilliant NASA scientist working on the SETI project, searching for extraterrestrial intelligence. He described his physical condition as a trivial affliction and just barely an inconvenience. Want to know what his condition was? Kent Cullers was completely blind, literally. But by choosing deeply empowering words, he completely overrode his physical limitations to achieve incredible things. The words you use dictate the power your obstacles have over you. Which brings us to our final stop, Section 5, committing to overcome adversity. 14. That is the staggering number of times Benjamin Roll took the California bar exam. Now, keep in mind, this exam is only given twice a year. He failed 13 times, but his commitment was absolute. On his 14th attempt at the age of 73, he finally passed. He proved that when you are truly, relentlessly committed to doing whatever it takes, persistence will eventually break down the walls of adversity. Or take Dave Bruno. This guy loses his job and then gets into a horrific near-death car crash. His lungs collapsed, his heart was bruised, the mountain of medical bills forced his family into bankruptcy. But Dave leveraged that immense tragedy. He remembered how these motivational quotes his mother used to leave around the house had inspired him growing up. So he eventually started printing quotes on metallic credit cards. Today, he sold over 2 million of those success gold cards. He turned ultimate adversity into absolute triumph. So how does this actually work in practice? Let's run through these concrete silver linings. Adversity forces perspective, making the small, silly annoyances just vanish. It builds deep gratitude for the things we usually take for granted. It reveals hidden potential we didn't even know we possessed. And it forces action, pushing us out of those painful but familiar ruts. Every single adversity truly carries the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit, but only if you have the right attitude. Back in 1990, a relatively unknown comedian named Jim Carrey wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered. He post-dated it for Thanksgiving 1995 and kept it right there in his wallet. By 1994, he was getting paid exactly that much for his movies. He rewrote his entire future with a single visual commitment. So, I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. If you were to write a post-dated check to yourself today, what would the amount be, and what are you truly willing to do to cash it? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.